The transfer clears on a Tuesday night. I'm sitting at my home desk in the dark. The only light is my monitor, and my husband is asleep 4 rooms away. I can hear the building settling around me. That particular quiet that comes after midnight, when even the city outside our window seems to exhale and go still. I watch the confirmation number appear on screen. $200,000 routed through a holding company, arriving in the account of a firm called Voss and Clark Architecture. Anonymous donor. Seed capital. 3rd installment. The firm's primary contact is listed as Daniel Voss, my husband. I close the laptop. I sit in the dark for a long time. I'm not sure what I expected to feel. Relief, maybe. That the money went through cleanly. That the trail is well covered. That Daniel will wake up tomorrow and see the deposit and think some unnamed angel has believed in him again. I thought I might feel proud. Quietly, privately proud. The way I feel about most things I do well. Instead, I feel something I don't have a name for yet. Not guilt. Not fear. Something older than both of those. Something that lives in the space between loving someone completely and not quite trusting them with the full weight of what that love costs you. I have been married to Daniel Voss for 6 years. I have watched him build something beautiful and nearly lose it twice. I have sat across dinner tables while he talked about investors who didn't understand his vision. I have nodded while he described the architectural philosophy behind his firm as if the philosophy were a living thing he had to protect. I have loved him in the specific, practiced way you love someone whose dreams are larger than their bank account, with both hands, and with my eyes open. He doesn't know I work in private equity. He knows I work in finance, broadly. He knows I go to an office in the financial district and come home tired on Thursdays, and sometimes travel for work. He has never asked more than that, and I have never offered more than that. Not because I was hiding it, exactly. Just because Daniel never made space for my work the way I made space for his. That asymmetry, I used to think I could live with it. Now I'm not so sure. Voss and Clark Architecture was Daniel's idea. He started it with Marcus Webb 9 years ago, when Daniel was 31 and convinced that the world needed a different kind of architectural firm. One that designed with the neighborhood in mind, not just the client. Civic spaces, community centers, mixed-income housing that didn't look like an afterthought. The philosophy was beautiful. The execution was consistently underfunded. Marcus is the one who keeps the books. Marcus is also the one who, 18 months ago, came to a dinner party at our apartment and pulled me aside near the kitchen and said quietly, while Daniel was laughing in the other room, "Elena, he doesn't know how bad it is. I don't know how to tell him." I remember the way the kitchen light made Marcus look older than he was. I remember the sound of Daniel's laugh through the wall. That specific laugh he has when he's completely comfortable, when he's in his element, when nothing is wrong. "How much?" I asked. Marcus told me. I nodded. I picked up the bowl of olives I'd been reaching for. I walked back into the living room and smiled at my husband, and Daniel didn't notice that anything had changed, because Daniel rarely notices the things that require stillness to see. I am not angry about that. I used to be. Now I understand it as a feature of who he is. The same quality that makes him brilliant in a room full of clients. The same expansiveness that makes him believe a project will come together even when the numbers say otherwise. He lives facing forward. The rearview mirror has never interested him. I live in both directions simultaneously. It is, I think, what makes us work. Or what I thought made us work. I started researching Voss and Clark's finances that night. I finished my analysis by the following Thursday. By Friday, I had structured a plan. I did not tell Daniel. Petra Sandoval has been my friend since graduate school. She is the kind of person who orders the most expensive thing on the menu without looking at the price and somehow makes everyone around her feel like that's the right call. She is also the only person outside of work who knows what I actually do for a living. I told her about the investment over coffee 3 weeks after the first transfer. She put her cup down very carefully. "You're anonymously funding your husband's failing business," she said. "It's not failing. It's a liquid. Elena, it has strong fundamentals. Elena, the portfolio of completed projects alone justifies—" "Stop doing the analyst voice," she said. "I'm your friend, not your board. Talk to me like a person." I stopped. I looked at my coffee. I said, "He would never accept it if he knew it was me." "Why?" I thought about that for a moment. The real answer, the one I hadn't said out loud yet, sat in my chest like a stone. "Because he'd feel like I was saving him," I said. "And Daniel can't be saved by his wife. He can be saved by a stranger, by a believer, by the market, but not by me. It would change something between us, something I'm not ready to lose." Petra looked at me for a long time. She has a way of looking at you that makes you feel like she's reading something written underneath your words. "You're protecting him," she said finally. "Or you're protecting yourself." "Maybe both," I said. She picked up her cup again. "And if he finds out?" "He won't." She made a sound that was not quite a laugh and not quite a sigh. "Famous last words," she said, "of every woman who was too smart for her own good." I didn't argue. I knew she wasn't wrong. I just didn't know yet how right she was. The strange thing about a secret is how little it changes the surface of things. That Thursday, I come home to find Daniel has made dinner. Pasta with the jar sauce he always doctors with too much garlic and fresh basil from the plant on the windowsill that I keep alive, and he keeps stealing from. He's playing something low and jazzy on the small speaker on the counter. He has his back to the door when I come in, and he doesn't hear me at first, and I stand in the entryway for a moment just watching him. He's wearing the gray Henley that's gotten soft from too many washes. He's moving slightly with the music, just barely, the way he does when he doesn't know anyone is watching. There's a smear of something dark on the back of his hand that's probably from the drafting table, some ink or graphite that didn't wash off fully. This is the man I married. This specific man, in this specific kitchen, making pasta with too much garlic. "Hey," he says when he finally turns around. He smiles. It's the uncomplicated kind, the reflex kind, the kind that comes before thought. "Hey," I say. We eat at the counter because the table is covered in his project drawings. He talks about a new commission, a community library in a neighborhood he's excited about, a client who actually wants something thoughtful. He's leaning forward while he talks, using his fork to gesture, and I watch his face and think, he doesn't know. And he doesn't know that I know. And we are sitting here in the ordinary warmth of this apartment like two people whose life together is exactly what it appears to be. I laugh at the right moments. I ask the right questions. I eat the pasta, which is, as always, slightly too garlicky, and exactly what I wanted. After dinner, he falls asleep on the couch with a journal on his chest. I carry his plate to the kitchen. I wash it. I dry it. I put it away. I stand at the window for a while, looking at the city lights. My reflection is faint in the glass, just an outline. A shape of a person doing ordinary things and feeling nothing ordinary at all. Owen Reyes has worked alongside me at the firm for 4 years. He is 29, technically junior to me, and smarter than almost everyone in the building would like to admit. He notices things. It's what makes him good at his job and occasionally exhausting to be around. He figures it out in March. I'm not even sure how. He comes to my office doorway on a Wednesday morning and leans against the frame and says casually, "The Voss and Clark installment is structured unusually." I don't look up from my screen. A lot of our structures are unusual. "This one is unusual in a specific way," he says. "The anonymity clauses are airtight. More than they need to be for a standard stakeholder arrangement." He pauses. Almost like whoever set it up was protecting something personal, not just professional. Now I look up. He meets my eyes. He is doing me the courtesy of not saying it plainly, of leaving me the dignity of deciding how this conversation goes. "Owen," I say. "I'm not going anywhere with this," he says. "I just want you to know that I know, in case it becomes relevant." "It won't become relevant." He nods slowly. He's quiet for a moment, and then he says something I don't expect. "My parents almost lost their restaurant when I was 16. Someone gave them a private loan. They never knew who. They're still in business." He pushes off the doorframe. "Sometimes that's exactly the right call." He leaves. I look at my screen. I don't say anything, but something in my chest loosens, just slightly. The particular relief of being seen by someone who isn't going to use it against you. It's rarer than it should be. In April, Daniel's firm is nominated for a Civic Architecture Award. There's a gala. One of those evenings with low lighting and high ceilings, and everyone dressed like they're either very important or trying to look like it. I wear the navy dress. Daniel wears the suit he bought for our wedding, which still fits him perfectly, which I both love and find slightly annoying. We arrive together and separate almost immediately. He goes to work the room, and I drift toward the bar, which is where I prefer to observe things from. Marcus finds me within 10 minutes, his champagne already half gone. "You look calm," he says, which coming from Marcus means, "Something about your calm makes me nervous." "I'm always calm," I say. "Elena." He lowers his voice. "There's a rumor about the anonymous investor. Some people are trying to identify who it is. Daniel's been asking questions. The champagne glass is cool in my hand. I let that information settle. What kind of questions? The kind where he's grateful, but also," Marcus pauses. "He keeps saying he wants to thank them personally, that it feels strange to be beholden to someone he can't see." He looks at me carefully. "He said it feels like having a guardian angel and not knowing if they're watching you." I look across the room at Daniel. He's laughing with a client. He looks entirely at ease. He has no idea that his guardian angel is standing 30 feet away in a navy dress, holding a glass of champagne, and feeling something that might be the beginning of a reckoning. "He'll be fine," I say. "Elena." "Marcus," I say quietly. "He'll be fine." Marcus doesn't argue, but he looks at me the way Petra does sometimes, like he's reading the words under my words. Later, when the award is announced and Daniel's firm doesn't win, I watch Daniel absorb it. He stands straight. He applauds the winner genuinely. He turns to Marcus and says something that makes Marcus laugh. He is gracious in a way that costs him something, and he pays it without showing the cost. On the cab ride home, he is quiet. I put my hand over his on the seat. He turns his hand over and holds mine, and we don't talk for the entire ride, and that silence is one of the most tender things I know how to share with him. I love him in that cab. I love him very specifically, very clearly right then, and I am more afraid than I have been this whole time. I don't sleep that night. I lie in the dark beside Daniel, listening to him breathe, and I do what I always do when a problem becomes too large for the daytime. I take it apart. The logic of the situation is still sound. The investment is protected. The anonymity holds. Daniel's firm is more stable than it's been in 3 years. The library project is moving forward. In 6 months, if the new commission comes through, they won't need another installment at all. This is the outcome I planned for. This is what success looks like. And yet, I think about what Marcus said. It feels like having a guardian angel and not knowing if they're watching you. I think about Petra's question. Are you protecting him, or are you protecting yourself? I think about the way Daniel held my hand in the cab, the way he didn't need to fill the silence, the way, in 6 years of marriage, he has never once asked me what my biggest professional achievement is. Not because he's incurious, he's one of the most curious people I know about everything else, but about my work, my actual competency, the thing I'm genuinely good at. He has never asked, and I have never made him. I stare at the ceiling for a long time. The city outside makes its low, constant sound. The building settles. Daniel breathes. I make a decision. I'm not sure yet what kind of decision it is. I don't have the words for it. But somewhere in the dark, between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., something that has been closed in me for a long time opens. Just slightly. Just enough. I'm going to tell him. Not yet. Not like this. But I'm going to tell him. And the thing that surprises me, the thing I don't expect at all, is that once I decide it, I feel relief. Clean and immediate. Like setting down something I had convinced myself had no weight. Catherine Voss has never entirely warmed to me. She is not unkind. She is precise. The distinction matters. She invites me to lunch, without Daniel, on a Saturday in May. She does this every few months. It is always a restaurant she chooses, always a table near the window, always a single glass of white wine that she nurses through the entire meal. She is 71. She has the posture of a woman who decided at 40 that she was done apologizing for taking up space. We are halfway through the meal when she says, without looking up from her plate, "Daniel's firm received an unexpected investor. Did you know about this?" I take a sip of water. I knew it had received some additional capital, yes. "He's very affected by it," she says. "More than he shows." She finally looks at me. Her eyes are the same dark gray as Daniel's. He talks about it at odd moments, about what it means that someone believed in his work without wanting anything in return. I set my glass down. "He said something to me," Catherine continues. "He said, 'It makes me wonder if I've been paying attention to the right things.'" She pauses. "I thought that was interesting." I don't respond. "Elena," she says, "I don't know what you've done. I'm not asking, but I want you to understand something." She folds her hands on the table. "My son is proud. Prouder than he deserves to be, in the specific way men of his type are proud. If whatever you've done becomes something he has to metabolize." She stops, starts again. "He'll need time. Give him time. That's all I'm saying." "You think he'll figure it out?" I say. "I think," she says carefully, "that my son is better at feeling things than he is at seeing them. And eventually those two things converge." She picks up her wine glass. I look out the window at the street below. People moving through an ordinary Saturday. No idea. Catherine Voss has never entirely warmed to me. But sitting across from her at this table, in this light, I understand for the first time that warmth was never what she was offering. She was offering something else. Something less comfortable and more useful. She was offering the truth. I meet Petra for a walk in June. The city is doing that early summer thing where everything smells like warm pavement and someone's takeout, and the trees in the park are outrageously green, almost offensively so. I tell her I've decided to tell Daniel. She doesn't say I told you so. She's a better friend than that. "When?" she asks. "When the timing is—" I stop because I can already see her face. I know. "There's no good timing for this conversation," she says. "You know that. You've known that since the beginning. You've just been hoping that the situation would somehow resolve itself before you had to have it." This is accurate. I don't deny it. "What are you actually afraid of?" she asks. Not the gentle version. The real one. I think about it. Walking helps. The motion makes it easier to say true things. "I'm afraid that he'll see it wrong," I say finally. "That he'll look at what I did and see condescension instead of love. That he'll feel managed. Like he was a problem I solved instead of a person I was trying to protect." I pause. And I'm afraid that he'll be partly right. That I did make a choice that was about my comfort as much as his. That I kept a secret this big, not just to protect him, but because— the words are harder now. Because being the person who knows things and acts quietly is how I survive in this marriage. If he knew everything, he'd have to make room for it. And I've never been sure he would. Petra is quiet for a while. We walk past a woman pushing a stroller, past two teenagers arguing, past a man reading on a bench in the sun. "You're the most capable person I know," Petra says eventually. "You are also sometimes a coward about the things that matter most." I exhale. "I know." "Tell him," she says. "Not because he deserves to know, because you deserve to be known." I think about that for the rest of the walk, and for several days after. I find out later, much later, what Marcus told him. In June, Daniel finds a discrepancy. A small thing. A notation in a financial document that, if you knew what you were looking for, pointed toward the holding company structure in a way that shouldn't have been visible. Marcus had been careful, but Marcus also, I think, wanted Daniel to find it. Marcus and Daniel have lunch, just the two of them. Daniel comes home that evening quiet, in a way I've never seen him quiet before. Not the comfortable silence of the cab after the gala. Something different. Something he's carrying. I'm at my desk when he comes in. I hear him set his keys down. I hear him go to the kitchen. A long pause. Then he comes to the doorway of my office. He doesn't say anything at first. He leans against the frame, the same frame Owen leans against, I think absurdly, and just looks at me. I save my document. I turn my chair around. "Hey," I say. "Hey," he says. A long moment. "How was lunch?" I ask. "Interesting," he says. "Marcus said something." He stops, looks at the floor. "He said I should ask you about the structure of the third-party investment, the anonymity clauses." He looks back up at me. "He said it would be worth asking you specifically." The room is very quiet. I have been preparing for this moment for months. I have words ready. I have a whole architecture of explanation built, considered, rehearsed. I look at my husband's face, his gray eyes, the slight tension at the corner of his jaw that means he already knows and is waiting for me to confirm it. "Okay," I say. That's all. "Just, okay," I tell him. He doesn't yell. I had braced for anger, the particular, compressed anger of a man who feels his dignity has been handled. I had prepared for raised voices, for doors, for the specific cruelty that people use when they're hurt and don't know what else to do. He sits down on the edge of the desk opposite mine. He listens. He doesn't interrupt. I tell him everything. The conversation with Marcus at the dinner party, the analysis, the structure, the 3 installments, the holding company, Owen knowing. I tell him why I didn't tell him. I use Petra's words because they're the truest ones I found. "I wasn't sure you'd make room for it." He flinches at that. Just barely. Just enough. When I'm done, the office is very quiet. He's looking at his hands. The graphite smear is gone now, clean from the day. He looks for a moment very tired. "The library project," he says. "Yes. And the 2 installments before that?" "Yes." He nods slowly. He breathes out. It's a long breath, the kind that has something weighted in it. "Elena," he says, and then he stops. He doesn't have a sentence yet. He's still finding it. I wait. I am good at waiting. "Why didn't you just—" He starts and stops again. "Why didn't you just tell me, at the beginning, when Marcus told you?" This is the real question. This is the one I've been sitting with for months. "Because," I say slowly, "I knew you'd say no. And I wasn't willing to watch the firm fold because of your pride. So I made the decision you wouldn't let me make." He looks up. His eyes are doing something complicated. He exhales through his nose. "Elena, that's not— you can't just—" "I know," I say. "That's not how this works." "I know." "That's not a partnership, that's—" "I know," I say again, and then quieter. "I know, and I've known that since March, and I've been trying to figure out how to fix it." He is quiet for a long time. He looks out the window. The summer evening light is long and gold through the glass. "Is there anything else," he says, "that you've decided for me without telling me?" The question lands cleanly. It's not cruel. It's the question of someone taking inventory. "No," I say. "Just this." He nods. He stands up. He doesn't leave the room, but he walks to the window and stands there for a while, with his back to me. I watch his shoulders. The gray Henley. The slight rise and fall of his breathing. I don't try to fill the silence. This is what it looks like when something important is happening. This exact stillness. This exact waiting. He sleeps in the guest room for 4 nights. He is not cold to me. He's not particularly warm either. He makes his coffee in the morning and offers me some, which I accept. He goes to the office. He comes home. He eats dinner, sometimes at the counter, sometimes at the cleared table, once in front of his drawings, without seeming to register that he was eating at all. On the 3rd day, I come home to find he's been talking to someone. I can tell because there's a different quality to his quiet. It's a thinking quiet, not a guarding quiet. That evening he says, without prelude, "I called Marcus." "Okay," I say. "He said he's known since March, that you told him to tell you if I started asking questions." He corrects himself mid-sentence, a small moment. He said you were trying to give me the chance to find it myself. He pauses. He stops again. It's okay, I say. You don't have to say it. No, he says. I'm going to say it. He turns to face me across the counter. That was considerate, and it was also, still, not the same as just telling me the truth. You're right, I say. He nods. We look at each other. Why didn't you ever tell me what you actually do at work? He says. Not just finance, the real version. You never asked. The words land and then sit there. We both feel them. That's true, he says. I didn't. He looks down at his coffee cup. I think I thought I knew. He's quiet. I think I let myself not look more closely because... He doesn't finish. Because? I say gently. Because your world felt very complete without me in it, he says. And I didn't know what to do with that. So I just... He makes a gesture with his hand. Left it alone. There it is. There is the other side of the asymmetry I've been carrying by myself for 6 years. We look at each other across the kitchen counter in the evening light, and something that has been unspoken for a very long time is finally, quietly, in the room with us. On Saturday, he asks me to come see the library site. It's not an official visit. It's early morning, and the construction is just beginning. A chain-link perimeter, a cleared lot, the bones of something. He has the blueprints under his arm. He walks me through it the way he must walk clients through a space, talking about the light, the angles, where the reading rooms will face the park, how the entrance is designed to feel open without being exposed. I listen. Really listen. Not in the way I listen when I'm performing attentiveness, in the real way, the way where you let someone's enthusiasm do what it's meant to do, which is to change the temperature of the air around you. He's talking about a specific window in the children's section. A low window, set at the height a child would see from, overlooking a small courtyard where they're going to plant a tree. The tree will grow, he says. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, the kids reading in that room will look out and see something that didn't exist when the building was new. He pauses. I like that. I like that buildings are in conversation with time. I look at him standing in this empty lot with his blueprints, talking about a tree that doesn't exist yet. This is what the investment was for, I say. Not an accusation. A fact. He's quiet for a moment. Yeah, he says. I know. We stand in the cleared lot in the Saturday morning light. A bird lands on the chain link and looks at us briefly before deciding we're not interesting. You should have told me, he says, and I should have made more room. He pauses. Both things are true. Both things are true, I agree. He looks at the ground, then at me, then at the space where the library will be. I want to know, he says, about your work, the real version. I should have asked a long time ago, and I didn't. And that's... He exhales. That's mine to carry. Something in me shifts. Not a dramatic shift, not the dramatic kind that announces itself. The quiet kind. Like a room that's been slightly off balance for years, and someone has finally placed something correctly. Okay, I say. Okay? He repeats like he's checking that I mean it. I'll tell you everything, I say, if you actually want to know. I want to know, he says. The bird on the chain link flies away. Somewhere behind us, a car passes on the street. The morning is warm and full of the particular smell of turned earth and summer. He offers me his hand and I take it. 2 months later, I am sitting at a conference table giving a presentation to a room of 12 people, walking them through an analysis of a mixed-use development opportunity. It is objectively excellent work. Daniel is one of the 12. He's there because the development includes a public architectural component, and his firm has been brought in as a consultant. We didn't plan this. We found out 3 days before the meeting and said nothing to each other about it, just exchanged a look across the kitchen and somehow agreed without speaking that it would be fine. And it is fine. It's better than fine. I watch him listen to me in that room the way he listened at the library site. Really listen, the paying attention kind. The kind that changes the shape of your face slightly. He asks one question, a good one, about phasing and community impact. It's the question I would have hoped for. After the room empties, he is the last one out. He stops beside me while I'm stacking my papers. "You're very good at this," he says. Not, "I had no idea." Not, "Why didn't I know this?" Just, "You're very good at this." Simple, without freight. "I know," I say, and he laughs, the real laugh, the one from the kitchen, the uncomplicated reflex laugh, and the sound of it does something to the air in that conference room. That evening we eat dinner at the cleared table. Daniel makes pasta. Too much garlic, fresh basil from the windowsill plant. He has, I notice, stopped stealing from it without asking me. "Tell me about the project you did in 2019, he says. "The one you were traveling for. The restructuring. I never really understood what that involved." I look at him across the table. The evening light is long through the window. He's holding his fork, waiting, genuinely curious. The same curiosity he brings to blueprints and buildings and what a particular neighborhood needs. He's bringing it here. To me. To us. I take a breath, and I tell him. Not the abridged version. Not the dinner party version. Not the version I've edited down to something that won't take up too much space. The whole thing. He listens, and he doesn't interrupt. And when I'm done, he says, "Okay. And then what did you do?" So I keep going. The basil plant catches the last of the evening light on the windowsill. The city makes its low sound outside. Daniel refills my wine without asking, because he already knows I want it. I talk until the food is cold, and it's fully dark outside, and by the end of it I feel something I haven't felt in this kitchen in years. I feel like I live here. Not just in the apartment, in the marriage, in the space between us, which has always been there and has always been mine too, even when I forgot to fill it. Daniel reaches across the table when I finally stop talking. He puts his hand over mine, the same gesture from the cab, but different. Not comfort this time. Something else. Recognition. "Hi," he says, like it's the first time. "Hi," I say back. And that's it. That's the whole thing. That small word, landing like something we've been building toward for 6 years without knowing it, or maybe knowing it, and just taking this long to arrive. Outside the window, the city breathes. The basil plant leans slightly toward the last of the light. Daniel doesn't let go of my hand, and for the first time in a very long time, I don't need him to.